And we try to avoid not engaging with what's been said before. In terms of either the proposer or the seconder, you're probably going to be all right pre-writing a speech, and possibly the first speaker to speak against the resolution. But beyond that, the issues in the framework for the debate are going to be set up. So the more you can just speak off like key points of like a punk card or shit paper or whatever, and not read a pre-read speech, the more you can just engage with the flow of debate and what's already been said, the better. The most effective thing in a reply speech is, by that stage, pretty much everything that can be said supporting the resolution has been addressed. So if you've got a reply speech, your most practical use is basically to use it to rebuttal, to address the issues that have been brought up and why you don't think they're valid from the opposition side. So the most important thing is don't pre-write speeches unless you want to propose second or speak first. Just the more you can speak off the cuff, the more you can speak with less money and really engage with what's been said by the nation, the more impressive the judging panel will be.
And that brings us to negotiation. The thing to remember with negotiation is a lot of people tend to go into the negotiation room and they don't really know what they're going to be talking about, and then suddenly something ends up happening and then they just don't end up getting their way. When you go into a negotiation room, a good idea is to make sure that you send a note to the country that you actually want to negotiate with and tell them you want to go to a negotiation. Then write down, like, either in your head down to memory or on a piece of paper, like, okay, well, this is like A, B, and C that I'm going to get out of this country. And this is probably A, B, and C that this country is going to want to get out of me. And then just triangle on those 3 points, you can stay focused and actually like get some kind of outcome or amendment or get them to change their status.
I'd like to say that there are a lot of different styles of negotiation, and as long as you stay diplomatic, your styles, they're various styles are going to work as long as you understand how they work and employ. But the most important thing for me, from my point of view, is that everything you do is going to affect you in the negotiation room, and understand how this is going to come to occur. So if you're a team that likes to speak, you can put out some really big, powerful speeches. You can convince other speakers on the speaking floor. I would suggest immediately after you've given a speech that you think is good, just get as many countries in the negotiation room as you can, get something big going. Because you've just given a speech, you've got that power and weight behind what you want to say. You've just proved all the countries you know what you're talking about, and they're going to be more likely to listen to you. So just understand the way you interact across the entire day and the speeches you give. It all influences the way you negotiate. And also, the other thing you have to do in negotiation is split up during caucus time. There is no point to both of you. There are very few situations where I recommend seeing both partners, attacking the same country, trying to convince the same country. It's generally a good idea. Split up, try to cover as many countries as you can during caucus time, will benefit you more. And don't stick to the countries that are really set in their view. So if you had the NPK debate before, you're better off like not chasing down Pakistan or Iran, but instead trying to find like a marginal country, like say, I don't know, say United Kingdom didn't actually want to give up its nukes and you might be better off going for them because they're more easily swayed. So just pick the countries you think are the easiest ones to convince. And we'll just go general tips and tricks now.
Yeah, just to start that we can sell it. With note passing, a lot of people tend to think note passing is kind of like, well, I'll send a note to this asking what your status is or whatever. A great thing to do with notes is, well, there's 3 really great things. Firstly, you can ask the country to yield. With yielding to other countries, it's generally not a nice thing to do. To say, I will yield to the member of Pakistan, and then they'll just absolutely panic because they won't have anything prepared with useful to say or speak on behalf or whatever. And they'll just give up and they won't actually contribute anything useful to the debate and will end up reflecting that on you. So send a note to them first saying, like, do you want me to yield to you, or can you yield to me so that you've read? The second thing to do with note passing is amendments. You can also pass around amendments to other nations and say, like, okay, does this make sense to you, and would you pass this? So you don't have to go all the way and send a note all the way out to the president and then discuss it and it gets voted down. And that's also a great thing to do with negotiation too. So that's some really good tips and tricks to do with notes.
The other thing I want to say is the more always go into the plan, like something you've thought through before is always a much better idea. So just knowing your country's foreign policy isn't enough. The reason you need to know why it's a foreign policy is because it's actually going to influence the way you look at the resolution. So for example, if you're United Kingdom or like USA and you've got a resolution that we had last year on trade protectionism, well, your official foreign policy is like we don't like trade protectionism, but you employ it as well, so it's pretty good. So we thought, well, what do we actually do here? And then we decided we were just going to basically support it like morally as much as we could, but weren't going to set much change at all because we technically didn't really want to see it pass, but at the same time we have to be seen to support it. So understanding like the intricacies of the country's foreign policy is really, really important in pushing stuff like that, to understanding, actually how you want to approach a resolution, as opposed to just, going to resolution saying like, we're for, we're against it. You need to understand why you're for, why you're against it, and what that actually is going to contribute to the debate.
Yeah, I guess the last thing I'll be saying today is to do with points of information. Some really good uses of points of information. Firstly, of course, there's obviously asking a nation a question that's to do with attacking their status, like I did earlier on. But the other thing that you can do with points of information is you can prompt a nation if you think that they've let something really critical out of their speech. Like, say they're talking about nuclear disarmament, and they just so happen to forget to mention some relevant clauses of the START Treaty or the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. You can actually stand up and give a point of information and say, well, like, what's your stance to do with the fact that all nations are obliged to follow this and whatever treaty? And that will actually prompt them to talk about it further, so you can get your stance across even more through them.
Last thing I want to say is just try to. First thing I say is don't let yourself be intimidated. You'll probably come across some names that have really good speaking skills, and you might find that intimidating. If you haven't much experience debating, but don't let it get to you. Like, your point of view and what you have to say is just as legit as everyone else said. So don't let yourself get pushed to back or not speak because you think other nations are better than you. It's generally not the case. It's often the case for the really loud nations. Nations who speak way too much often are a little bit undiplomatic, and that's not good. So that's the other thing, is always be diplomatic at all times. But just seriously, speak as much as you can. The chair does nothing. How many notes? Well, okay, one note for each amendment or resolution. So don't flood with like 6 notes asking to speak. But it's really good to see, like, every time you give the opportunity to speak, you put a note out there, because it's not nice for the facilitators. Obviously, it's not nice for you guys, and you get really involved, and you're all just getting up there. And the second thing I want to say is, I already covered this, I just want to say it again, is that understanding and like your level of understanding of everything from all degrees is the most important thing. So try to familiarise yourself with the technical side to this competition. The use of terminology such as the amendment for France or France, if French is not represent I or we, so it's France, amendment for France. Just keep reading resolutions as many times as you can, because you'll find that resolutions have a lot to them. From my point of view, resolutions have an intent, they have a goal, that's what they're trying to achieve in general. They have operative clauses, which are like how they want to go about achieving that goal, and they have preambulatory clauses that set the context. So just make sure you understand those three things, how they work together and what it actually means. And just the more you can understand every facet of the competition, the more you take out of it, and just speak as much as you can. Ask if you're allowed, when you're allowed. And the other thing is, just when the president tells you to raise your back, not before, that you get a little bit naughty sometimes. You start just throwing it up and down.
I will say one more thing.
Let's see what
I said that much. The last thing I want to say is, in debate, be constructive. It's really tempting, if you're a veto power, to just say, no, this doesn't agree with our foreign policy, putting the veto, and then don't say anything else. And then the resolution ends up getting vetoed, nothing constructive happens. Try to engage with other countries. You want to avoid using your veto power as much as possible, unless like the inverse is happening and they're trying to bully you into a corner, which really shouldn't be happening. So if you're veto power, just keep in mind that you want to be constructive, or if you're any other country in that regard.
Okay, thanks very much. Firstly, I actually got to answer your question before about whether you can reverse your possible amendments in your speech, so I'll answer that now. Basically, especially if you're a veto power, it's quite handy to say in your speech, we are against this resolution because of this clause, and unless, and we will be putting up an amendment to change this clause, or we'll be putting up an amendment to delete this clause. But you can actually take it that step further and say, unless this amendment is passed, we'll find it very difficult to pass this resolution. So you can actually